Welcome back to Spells from the Shelf. I'm Ammie.
I'm Paul. This is your favorite literary podcast covering YA and fantasy.
Favorite, absolutely. Today we're talking about Iron Widow
By Xiran Jay Zhao.
Yes. We looked it up. We made sure.
We did. And if you have trouble with any of the pronunciations in this book, she does have a pronunciation guide to the characters in her Instagram.
Yes. Which I actually really appreciate when authors do that. Because, and even me so I read this in two different formats. The first time I read it, I got it from Libby as an ebook. And then the second time I got it as an audiobook. Because I thought that it was going to help with my pronunciation. But the narrator's really good and just talks really, because this is a fast-paced book.
Ooh, buckle up. The plot's going to zigzag. It's going to change. You're going to think you're going on one track and it actually reveals another. You are in for a ride with the pacing of this book. It is furious.
Yeah. It is another furious book over here at Spells from the Shelf. It's going to keep you on your toes from start to finish.
Yeah, the whole time you're reading, you should have Doc Brown in your head. 88 miles per hour. Like you are moving with this book.
Oh, moving so quickly. So per usual, we can do no spoilers.
Yeah, we can do no spoilers.
We can do no spoilers here. So we're going to do no spoilers, not even half and half deal like we've been doing on some of them. We can do absolutely none. We're going to talk about the plot. We're going to talk about some themes, and we're going to talk about our characters. We're going to talk about
and mech warriors.
And oh my goodness. Okay, I'm going to
chrysalis.
I'm going to say this before we get into the plot. If anybody out there grew up watching Gundam Wing,
or Voltron for the older set,
you're going to have some nostalgia here with the mechs.
Yeah, we've got, I mean, kind of, Voltron's not exactly right, but Evangelion is one of them. I mean, you've got, I think there were some criticisms of this book, like, I've seen some of these, mech warriors before, but there's really, I think she treats the realms and the magical world, the sci-fi world, really differently.
I thought it was different. I thought it was a different take. Mm-hmm. Just like how Red Rising was a different take on fantasy sci-fi elements coming together. This author also does that very well because it is a combination of both. You have fantasy elements and you have the sci-fi elements kind of meeting in the middle here.
Yeah.
And I think that's a mix that we can get on board with.
Let's go with the summary. So we've got Wu Zetian.
Yes.
As our kind of main character that we're following throughout the entire story. And the world she's living in, there's been an alien invasion, the Hunduns.
Yes.
And they've come down and the Great Wall is this barrier.
Yes.
So you've got the mech warriors that they call chrysalis in this book that are named after animals. So like the black tortoise, the white tiger, the nine-tailed fox. And they are deployed when there's a Hundun attack. And the giant mech warriors go to kill the Hunduns. And you can only make more of these chrysalis mech warriors through the husks of the dead Hunduns.
Yes. Which is very dark. Now, this is a YA...
And it's spirit metal.
It's spirit metal, yes. So now, while this is a YA fantasy book, we've talked about this before. This is one of our overarching themes over here at Spells. Do not underestimate YA fantasy. Okay? It can, if you're doing it justice, it can hold some dark, heavy themes.
Yeah. We have talked about this at Spells before, where YA is very ambiguous. Like, you want to talk about morally ambiguous, morally gray characters. Well, YA is morally ambiguous.
It is.
Parts of it might be rewritten for a YA audience, but you are dealing with some big heavy themes here.
Well done, but they are. And so another part of the plot here is our main character, Wu Zetian, is looking to avenge her sister. That's not a spoiler. That's our plot. That's what starts us out.
Well, it's what starts us out. It's like the launch pad, right?
It is.
Because then you do get a zag from that arc pretty quickly. But you're following this character throughout. After there's after the vengeance quest,
Yes.
then you get on to like the bigger world. It's like, well, the vengeance quest was actually too small. Now we're going to change the whole world.
Yeah.
know?
That's the only thing that we're going to say. That's still not a spoiler. You're going to walk into this thinking that you're going to be dealing with the vengeance side of it, or what you think is the vengeance that she's looking for the whole book. But this author is going to take you by surprise. Her characters are going to take you by surprise.
Yeah.
It's going to, and the mech element and how the magic works and how they power these mechs is very intricate, but it's not heavy. And on our last episode, we talked about world building and how we don't need to be always bogged down by world building. And I would say that here, I didn't feel bogged down by the world.
No, I'm along for the ride with these characters. They are just wild and big and, no small amount of eviscerating other characters. So I think, spot on there. The world building's really interesting. It's powered by chi or your ki, kind of like your inner life force. And there's the yin and yang elements where the female pilot and the male pilot interact with each other and how they interact with each other and how these mechs are designed to enhance or handicap certain elements of the power. So there's some really, fascinating elements to the magical system it's not really a magical system. It's kind of like just this, plug it into the life force kind of deal. It's like this very sci-fi thing that powers a giant mech warrior.
I kind of felt a couple of different. I didn't just think of Gundam Wing. I also thought of the Matrix.
Yeah, how
they go into the Matrix, where they
the needles poke into
the back of the head, which is quite a. I do love in the plot here how you get like Chinese culture woven into the story so beautifully, which. There is an element of it, and Paulie and I were talking about this beforehand, the foot binding.
Yeah. So
that also goes into the character and how, she's had it tough since the beginning.
You get good and bad elements of the Chinese culture, and an ancient tradition in older China was the Chinese foot binding, which is the act of breaking one's foot, specifically young women's foots.
Yes.
To have perfect lotus feet, as is described in Iron Widow.
Yes. And there you do get a description of it in here. And I actually found I wasn't expecting it because it is a futuristic dystopian story. I do like that she did add that in there though, because I did think it was important to the character in a way of how she's been shaped. Yeah.
Well, it was an ancient tradition. I think it's, you're addressing a systemic issue, right? And I think that's, it was well incorporated here for that reason.
Oh, I thought so too. Yeah. Because the other element to the plot and how the yin and yang element of the mechs being worked happens is the male tends to end up unaliving the female.
Yeah. Well, the mechs have this system where they treat the females like a battery.
Yes. Just like a battery pack.
Battery of chi.
And the second it's drained, they're done with it. They discard it as if it's nothing. And that's why I think that the foot binding aspect was kind of like a foreshadowing of like what women in these mechs in this dystopian world kind of endure.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of like the evolution of that, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So there are it's pretty interesting. The Chinese government came out pretty strong against this book, and the author Xiran didn't win the Hugo Award her year because the Chinese government came out against it so strongly and leaked emails. So she was like robbed of or disqualified of the Hugo Award.
Oh, that's a shame.
So, but that's its own kind of badge of success, right? Like a whole government came out to try to take a nomination away from a YA fantasy author.
She made such a good story that they felt viscerally about it. And that's,
And we know there's 2 books out now. So Heavenly Tyrant is out. And we're definitely getting a 3rd book. We don't know if it'll be Triflation.
I wonder.
We are going to find out, and I am along for that ride.
So Triflation, if you've been with us for a minute, you already know what that means. That means where a trilogy gets inflated by the author. You see that with Darker Shades. You see that with Red Rising. We're not mad at it.
Yeah, it's true. We're not mad at it. We just needed a name for it.
We just needed a name for it. And Fourth Wing's another one. We got a few Triflations. So listen, we've said this before. You put me in a world and want to keep me there, I'll stay as long as it's interesting.
Yeah,
as long as I'm entertained, I'll keep going. But this was a lot of great elements to the story. And I loved how the plot moved. And like Paul said, it moves quickly, which in another book that we read, Black Tongue Thief, which also moved quickly. This moves just as quickly. You have to stay on your toes. But it is heavier in that you have a lot of tortured characters.
Yeah, tortured characters and some actual torture.
Yes,
right.
And some actual torture
on both kind of the antagonist and the protagonist. So there are some explicit scenes. They're well written. I don't like, as far as like spice too, like and smut, we're not getting a ton of that. I think it's lightly touched upon. I actually really liked the way those scenes were written. They weren't explicit at all. It's which to me kind of kept the story in line, where it didn't go too far over. And while the relationship dynamics between the characters are super important and crucial, foundational to the book, she didn't go too far into the actual act of consummation or anything.
Right. Because we've also said this, but we don't want spice in our YAs. That's for the adult books.
Sorry, okay? Sarah Maas fans.
That's for the adult books. Yeah, that's not for the YA.
Agreed. Yeah. There's a place for it.
There's a place for it. So she did. Yes. So you get enough of the relationship without tipping the scale. Mm-hmm. Because then it would have had to be an adult fiction, in my opinion, at that point. But the other two, so we are going to follow 3 characters here. And we also looked up the pronunciations, because like we said, the author does have them.
Forgive us for butchering any of them.
Yes, please forgive us, because we listened to it a few times.
We did. Surely we will still screw it up, but
I know my ADHD is like
Lee Shiming. That's right.
And you say Yuzi.
Oh no, it was like
Iju. Thank you.
Gao Iju.
So those are our two male main characters that come into play here. And one is a prisoner of the world, Li Shimin.
Yeah.
He is a very tortured character. I do also like that one of the themes that comes into play here that I thought that the author handled well was the addiction, his alcohol addiction. And you kind of see him go through several stages of it, trying to get over it.
Withdrawal. Yeah. And what's interesting about the addiction is that it was, the way the author writes it was given to him as a method of control.
Yes.
By the strategists, where basically like the military government.
Yeah. That's how they controlled him and got him to kind of
do whatever they wanted.
Yeah. And he does, he's a tortured character in a lot of ways, because he's the
most powerful pilot.
He's the most powerful pilot, which means that he has had to unalive a lot of female co-pilots.
Yeah, but and what's interesting is when we're going into that story, as you're reading about it, he blames himself and everybody blames him for murdering these girls, but it turns out that's not actually what happens. So it's a pretty interesting like evolution there of the character. But he is written as the villain, as the prisoner, as like somebody that's being controlled, super flawed character. He wrestles with his own inner demons. He is a prisoner because he killed his family, and he killed his family for reasons that are given in the book.
Yes.
But it's the highest level, like patricide is the highest level of, just below treason, I think, in the culture. So,
and Wu's at the end hates him.
Yeah.
When they first meet. So we can't give away any spoilers. So we can't talk about why they first meet. All we can say is that you're going to get a shift in the plot moment, and they end up meeting and they get paired together as like a yin and yang moment in their mechs. And she hates him and doesn't want to get to know anything about, which rightfully so, because she's heard all of these rumors about him, and she's already formed her opinion about him before she's even met him.
Yeah, she's assigned to him because they're planning on killing her.
Yeah. They're like, this will take care of it.
Yeah, this will take care of you.
This will fix this problem, and then we won't have to do anything because
You and your female strong independence. We're going to stick you with the pilot that kills everybody.
How dare you be powerful?
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. And that kind of leads me into, I think this is a good moment for my favorite quote. This is another quotable book. So Black Tongue Thief was a very quotable book, and Iron Widow is an extremely quotable book as well. There's a lot of great quotes in here. The author gives you a ton of moments. So to kind of go into, this character dynamic, men want us so badly for our bodies, but hate us so much for our minds.
Yeah.
And that just embodies the world that is surrounding.
And her as a character, right? There's a lot of rage that comes out of this character. So, I mean, so much so that it almost, for me, it felt one-dimensional. At some point, like halfway through the book, it starts to turn. But you get so much rage, and rightfully so. She's absolutely justified in her rage. But as you're reading along with just such a rageful character, you're wondering, like, is it going to stay one-dimensional, or is she going to turn? Is she going to have a moment where it's not just about rage, and it's about like a maturation and like finding out, well, some people aren't actually your enemies. Yes.
And sometimes you make unlikely alliances. And when you can and this is another thing that we've seen a few times, like in Slewfoot with Abatha, we saw the reverse in this almost, where you had a character that didn't start out with really any rage, but became so rageful that it consumed her entire being by the end of the book. And in this case, you have a character that starts off rageful, and rightfully so, as Paul said. It's completely justified, her rage.
I care not for your tears. From Slewfoot.
Oh, man. And you do see her character evolve, though. Now, because I did read it in two different formats, when I was reading it, you do get the feminine rage aspect very well in the words. Listening to it, I said to Paul, I was stressed because the narrator was too good, because you feel the rage in her inner dialogue. You are encompassed in that rage, and you feel just so much for this character. But it does take a pivot point where, she starts making these unlikely alliances and learning how to they kind of learn how to work the world that's around them.
And I think to me, the maturation of the character, Wu, the turning point for me was about halfway through. It was about 232 when she starts to trust and understand Li Shiming a little bit better.
Yes.
There's a quote where she's, a lot of it's about a power struggle, right? It's power struggle in a male domineering world. And she says, she's like, there's no room for pride. I'm the less experienced pilot. So she starts to trust him as a pilot. And that's significant because they have to pilot together. It's a co-piloted scenario, but she realizes that, and trust is a vulnerability, right? You're putting your trust in somebody, but she finally starts to trust him. And that was a real turning point for her character. It was a turning point for me in the story also.
That was a big turning point. Yeah. I agree. I remember feeling for them in that moment where you could finally see them both of them coming to a place of understanding of one another that they just did not have before, because the people around them were very happy to just let them continue hating each other. Yeah. Hoping that one of them would kill the other. Or both. Yeah. To, take care of both of our prisoners while you're at it. And the third character that we get involved in the plot is her childhood friend, which I thought was a nice aspect, which is
Gao Yuzhu.
Yes. I thought that was a nice little aspect as well to the story. And you get a really well-rounded band of characters here that kind of drive our plot forward. Would you say this is another character-driven story?
I would. I think because you have with
fantasy elements.
Yeah, with these sci-fi fantasy elements, I feel like you're following these three characters, and you meet the first two, her childhood friend Gao and her, and then we meet Li Shiming later. But they end up in this kind of love triangle situation, which to me, like in this story, I feel like they reimagined the love triangle a little bit where it actually worked. And and I thought it was an interesting take, right? Because there's a quote that says, "Love is infinite." If you just open your heart to it, and I think that's very true. I think everybody can get down with that, So I love that "love is infinite" quote. So it was this reimagining of love triangle working, and it worked for them. And she was very much independent. She was like, "This works for us, and I don't care about anybody else."
Yeah. Which, one of the themes in this is kind of, I wrote it down because I always write down what all the themes are of our books.
Okay.
Societal norms.
Yeah.
And kind of
perpetual challenging of those by our character.
Making their own way and making their own rules. And in a society that has done nothing but bind them by rules.
Yeah. Every time she feels shame or humiliation, she there's like always a quick, and it doesn't happen in real life, but it does. It's a great like moments in the book where she's just like, these are self-imposed feelings. Like other people are trying to make me feel shame or humiliation.
Yeah.
I choose not to feel that, and I was like, that's right. Let's go.
Yeah. There's, what was a theme that wasn't kind of, that I didn't find in my research, but your point there kind of made me think of it is the idea of self-love and self-acceptance.
Yes.
Not believing what others have decided should be your life.
Yeah,
your
empower
picture.
yourself,
yeah,
right? Like you have the ability to not be affected by what all these other people think. It's like, you know what's right for you.
Yeah, you know what's right for you. And Wu's at the end knows exactly what's right for her. She is not afraid to say it. She's not afraid to say it, and she's not afraid to be the most powerful. She is so powerful. I loved that she remained powerful. Can I tell you what I hate in some books? I'm looking at you, Sarah J. Maas. Why do the female main characters have to lose their powers in stories? I'm also looking at you, Lee Bardugo, with Shadow and Bone.
The sun. Yeah.
Looking at two of you. Okay.
Well, I think that's the cost of the magical system, right? Like in both Sarah Maas's and Bardugo's characters, where they lose their power, they've used it to like its absolute zenith, and they've stretched the limits of what's possible. And there's always a cost to that, right? Losing power would not work with this character.
No, and I'm glad that we didn't, though.
Yeah. Point taken. I think it works in certain stories. Like to me, it worked with the Alina Starkov, the sun. What is it? The Sun Summoner.
Yes.
And then I thought it worked with in Throne of Glass too. Like he just holds so much power, and then either it's burnout. Sometimes it just feels more realistic.
Yeah.
But this is somebody that's clawing for power in Iron Widow, right? They're clawing and struggling constantly for it. So that crawl, like you're continuing to enhance power as she learns how it works, right? Because she was a peasant, because she was a commoner, there's like giant gaps in her knowledge. And book one is all about kind of learning the structure of how power works.
Yeah, which I really loved. Let's dive. I do want to take a moment to kind of, because that is a big part of the plot, the magical system in here with the sci-fi and fantasy elements that meet so beautifully in the middle was fantastic. So interesting, not confusing. I didn't feel like I didn't know what was going on. I kind of always had it like when she enters a dreamscape type of world.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say whose dreamscape she enters because that would be a major spoiler, but that was very well described.
Yeah. Well, part of co-piloting the mechs, the chrysalises, is this joining of the minds, this yin and yang realm, right? They refer to it in the book. And it is interesting how there's a struggle, like a power struggle inside the yin and yang, trying to fight for balance, and like this idea of the perfect match, is balance. And they are chasing that throughout the book. And she's chasing her own balance throughout the book.
She really is. And I also love when an author gives us, and I won't say why, but when you read the book, when an author gives you the title in the book as a little like plot device, I love that. I do. I love it. And it's such a rare thing to happen where the title becomes a part of a character.
So impactful.
Yeah, so impactful. And sometimes you get it like subtly, like Red Rising.
Yeah.
But this was a nice, not so subtle moment. And I did enjoy that. I enjoyed a lot about this book.
Yeah, you get the Iron Widow, the Iron Demon. Yeah, but so you enjoyed so much. What was your rating here?
Oh, I gave it a 5.
Okay.
Both times.
I loved reading this book. I'm going to give it a 4.75 because I could put it down. I was like, I'm going to put this down now. But it was, man, this was one of the, I think the past 2 pods, like between Black Tongue and this, I feel like I really love a fast-paced book. There's tons of action in here. This is the kind of thing that makes like a great Netflix series, you know.
Oh, it would be fantastic.
Yeah, like you could easily break this into a 2-part movie.
Yeah, no. Easily this would be a great like movie or show moment. And because so I can always count on Paul to have a copy.
Poly paperbacks.
I noticed when you were looking before for like a quote, it's shiny. Like it has like it's like a really cool cover.
It is a very cool cover.
It's a very cool cover. I love this. It's, you know what else is great about the last 2 pods that we've had, which I think all of us are going to appreciate because we're coming to the end of the year, which is wild. Coming to the end of the year. When did that happen?
Seriously.
These are not big books. So you could easily fit this into your TBR and not feel completely bogged down by like a 600, 700, 800 book. And we're not mad at those.
Yeah, this is 400 pages of furious, fun pacing. Great read.
Yeah, it's so well done. I can't wait to get into, I haven't read the second book yet.
Oh, me neither.
It's been on my list though. And I am going to, because I did a reread of it, now I definitely want to.
Yeah.
Did you have any other favorite parts that you wanted to?
What did I do? I did have another quote in here that I loved. Nope.
You're like, I just
that love is infinite quote is just the crown
top
there.
Tier, yeah.
And I think, you know, because you're dealing with vengeance so much in the book and anger, it was great to have. And that quote is, of course, initially attributed to Gao Yizhu, or for her friend. So I think her like listening to somebody that she trusts and then adopting that in the new love triangle, or the triangle of friendship here, is, I think that was really important. It was, the character grows. Like if the character's not growing, like it's, you know, it can get boring quick. So there's character growth here, as well as like validation of what she was going after.
Absolutely. So you have a ton to kind of go with here, guys. You have another fast-paced book from
Savage heroine.
That's why he was texting me. He was like, I love this. And I was like, I am not surprised in the least. In the least. I had a feeling because we had changed we had changed the books that we were going to read for this, I think like several times. For some reason, this particular like month, we shuffled in so many, because there's just so many good books out there.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to do them all, but I think we picked this was a great pick. Black Tongue Thief was a great pick for this month.
Yeah.
Be sure to pick these up. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe. We're doing some fun things over here at Spells. It's getting very exciting.
Big times. And we'll see you at BookCon.
Oh, yeah. We're going to BookCon, guys. Woo. Oh, my God. Please let us know who is going to BookCon.
Yes.
Hit us up. We want to know. We want to meet people in real life. It's wild. But yes, be sure to like, follow, subscribe. Like we said, we're everywhere. TikTok, Instagram, all major platforms, including YouTube. And until next time,
Spellsfromtheshelf.com. Catch you there.
Catch you later. Bye.